Stewart at the 2015 Custom Knife Show in Southern California with Greg Medford. How you doing, sir?
Good, how you doing?
Good. Missed you at the last show that I tried to get to, so it's very fortunate that I was able to get you set aside here this afternoon.
What was the show we missed at?
I can't remember. I think it was the one I was supposed to come to here last year. I didn't make it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you were here.
I was.
Yeah. So, you see, it's always about the timing. Sometimes the timing's not so bueno for me. So listen, I've really wanted to talk to you. I've actually had an opportunity to handle a couple of your knives that a friend of mine owns. And would just like to ask you, first of all, what you have available today, and this being Sunday of the show, so you've got quite a bit of stock that is now in somebody else's pocket or, in their luggage or what have you. But we've got a very nice, I would say, a relatively good cross-section of your wares. Am I correct?
Yeah, so kind of what you have now is, the aficionados that come out to a knife show will kind of snag everything up as soon as they can.
First day.
And they're not generally going to get the mainline stuff they've seen before. They're generally going to kind of go for some of the quirkier or more unique things. So a lot of our kind of quirky or more original or more unique things are done. The way we roll is we have models that we make, and then we do a lot of make to orders. So lots of finishes and material choices.
For that individual end user.
Yeah, so what we try to do is come up with, when we're coming to a show, since we know it's not so much your retail public who's coming to shows, it's really your aficionados. And for that crowd, we'll take our line, which is a very muted tone, very tactical, very simple, and we will jazz stuff up.
And let me add to your adjectives there, and very rugged.
Yeah.
Well built. I mean, we're talking about something. Even a guy like me who breaks stuff on a regular, routine basis is not going to be easily breaking your product.
Well, I don't make any wild-ass crazy claims about about our awesomeness, but I will tell you, we have them as over-engineered as you can have them and reasonably still carry and enjoy the knife.
Right.
So, there's a lot of different ways to make something tough. You can do it with metallurgy, and you can do it with geometry and sheer size. So we try to use kind of the best blend of all of those.
There are guys, of all that.
Yeah, there are guys who make bigger and heavier knives, but you will not meet people actually carrying them.
Right.
So I don't want to be in the novelty category.
Yeah.
So these are, we make from, let's say, as big a heavy a knife as we make, like these two here, the Arctica and the Marauder, to our number one knife, the Praetorian, and we make super lightweight versions of it, all titanium versions thicker, and then two smaller versions of it.
You do make an all titanium Praetorian?
Oh yeah, two different versions of it.
Okay.
Here's an all titanium Praetorian right here. Titanium on both sides.
Man?
Yeah. And then the next level up above that, instead of a 3/16 blade, is a 260 thou thick blade, which is just over a quarter of an inch nominally. 3/16 handles instead of 1/8 inch.
Yeah. So you've got a variation between the blending that you do with size, metallurgy, etc., engineering, or
well, it's just like airplanes. Airplanes are a trade-off of weight, strength, capability, and material.
There you go.
And I try to take balance. I try to design in my designs balance form and function, and then weight, strength, material, and design.
Right. Now, how long have you been making knives as Medford Knives?
First knife I ever made was 5 years ago.
5 years ago? And is that when you started the company? Because that sounds about right to me. Of course, I'm going off of real vague memory.
So I started the company, and I had never made a knife, and I said to the guy who had helped me learn how to use my first grinder that I was gonna start a great American knife company, and he was very polite to me, and in retrospect, an arrogant comment, but that's what we're doing. So I spent the first year just taking my initial designs and making them and learning. And at the end of about 13 months of beta testing everything, I started hiring folks to help me and started training people. My background was in flight instruction and in building airplanes and running karate schools.
Oh, really? Okay, and I was going to ask you about that. I'm glad you dovetailed right into it. So
all that background.
So you have a martial arts background as well that helps you with the ergonomics of the tool?
Well, the style that I was in was it's called Kempo Karate. Actually, it came from Pasadena, California.
Right.
It's kind of one of our, it's one of my formative things in my thinking and design. So the head of our style was a guy named Ed Parker, and he was very much into functionality.
Well, he came up with a knife design of his own.
Well, he kind of did that with Gil Hibben, who's one of the original Guild members, right?
Right.
And Guild's old roommate and current karate teacher is my instructor as well, Huck Planis. Huck actually showed me how to hollow grind because I had only flat grind. The first year I made knives, I had never hollow ground.
Right.
So it's funny how it's kind of come full circle.
Right.
But
isn't that the way things always go anyhow?
Yeah,
in reality,
it is a lot of times. Yeah.
So your background was in aeronautical engineering, at least to some degree.
No. My background was martial arts and philosophy, and then I started building airplanes because I flew former Eastern Bloc military aircraft, and there was nobody here to work on them. So you end up you need to rebuild an engine. You need parts for the engine. I started making my own parts.
Oh wow.
Specking. First I spec having my parts made, and then I started getting into making them, and then I was a part of the reverse engineering, and I just liked the whole process so much. When I made the jump into knives, the metallurgy and all of that was quite simple, and the design was something that kind of came. Design is a culmination of a whole lifetime of experiences, and I think if you look around and you walk around any knife show like this and you meet the guys, you will find the knives are an absolute direct translation of their personality and experience.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, absolutely. Or if they happen to have taken it from somebody else, maybe, because you've got that. I don't think you're going to see that here, not at a show like this.
No, you'll see it around. If you see copies, then what you see is guys who are cheaters.
Exactly. Yeah. But the formative guys, you're right. There's a general basic philosophical translation of their own personality and
well, how do we design something that is not from us?
Exactly.
So any of the guys who are truly designed, that's why guys ask me about this guy and that guy. Are you out of here?
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to New York. I'll see you.
I'll see you in New York for sure. Great to see you. Nice chat.
Take care. So yeah. So
Daryl Ralph, you know Daryl?
Oh, I've never met him in person. Well, there he goes. Daryl Ralph. So, like I said,
it's funny when I'm on Facebook. I don't look at other people's knives for the most part. I pretty much block myself from seeing anybody's stuff as much as possible.
Right.
Guys will come around. The number one thing I hear about my knives is, "Oh my God, these things are beefy. They're so tough. These are so cool. They are so ruddy looking but precise feeling, and they look different than everybody else's stuff in the room." That's what those are the things I hear. Okay?
Right.
And the reason why is because I don't look at anybody else's stuff. And it's not that I don't think there's a lot to learn from everybody, but you can't help from having those things impress you as you look.
You'll have a subliminal impression, even if you're trying not to. And even if you strive to not get an impression, then you may somehow trick yourself into that.
So I have guys that I know are fanboys of my stuff who make knives, and their stuff starts having things in it that looks like my own unique things. So I came up with it.
Right.
And no, I don't get banned. I don't even care. Mimicry is the sincerest form of flattery. So
True.
I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
But
and then you end up wasting a lot of time by trying to point fingers at, hey, you copied. Hey, you copied.
So I don't do
Why
anything.
deal with that?
Care.
It's
and
drama.
I'm sure somebody thinks I'm caring. So I don't care. But I do my own thing. I don't look at anybody else's stuff. And if you look at my designs, the people who know me, they go, "Dude, Medford, your knives are just like the way you are." I think they're the way I am.
Yeah.
And they're like the way my
wait a
guys
minute.
are.
Wait, Greg, let me see. Let's see. Little profile shot. I got to tell you, brother.
Probably more like the Fat Daddy, right?
Yeah, I was going to. Well, no, I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say maybe like a Praetorian. Yeah. You got to. I'm sorry. I got to. Man.
Yeah.
Okay. I always ask. It's a bad habit. Yeah. Give me that profile shot. Man.
See, I think it fits my belly more like this.
Wait, it can match either one, man. Beautiful. But yeah, absolutely. I dig it. I think it's very cool. Very, very cool.
One of the things that's unique about my design style is I try to get as absolute much blade into a knife as possible. And if you look around the knife world, it is definitely one of the defining characteristics of my stuff. I get a lot of blade into a knife.
Even into this, which would not customarily, what do you call this one? other than gangster?
That's my whippier.
Whippier?
Whippier, yeah.
Whippier.
Yeah.
Because
the ding-dongs who bought Schrade threatened to sue me if I used the word Viper.
No kidding.
It used to be called the Viper, but it is now called the Whippier.
Whippier, okay. But your comment just a moment ago, in this, blade configuration, which is, I'm not sure what to call it. It's a little...
It's kind of a Warncliffe style with a little bit of bend to it.
Yeah, but you've got probably about as much edge into that as you could possibly get into that shape, or that style.
If you look at my knives, and it's one of the things I look at when I look at other people's knives. Are you carrying one on you right now?
I'm carrying something else. I'm carrying zero tolerance.
Yeah, can I see it? It's totally
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I go for a ratio. I'm always looking for a ratio of this to this. And I'm trying to maximize that ratio. So my Arctica probably has a slightly similar ratio to this. But go to my TFF1 and look at the ratio of blade to handle.
And I know you're not comparing this, but you could...
No.
Yeah.
But if you see, I'm going for a, kind of there's a proportion that I'm looking for. And some people say, oh, divine proportion, blah, 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 blah. But I'm going for a ratio. Like this has almost as much blade as handle, which is exceedingly rare in pocket knives.
Right. Well, in folders, at all, completely. Yeah, it's extremely rare. Usually you got more handle than you will blade.
Right. Usually what you see is 60% blade. The blade being about 60% the size of the handle.
Right.
So I like to bring as much. My Praetorian kind of splashed onto the market. It's an illusion, but it almost looks like there's more blade than handle.
Yeah, and now that you said it, I'll overwhelm that, and I won't see it. But I understand what you're talking about. You're right. At first impression, it could come across that way, and I don't know if that's because of the
it is, of course it is.
Or...
It's the geometry, it's the proportion, it's the ratio of length to width.
Right.
And then how you connect the two and where you place the pivot. And there's a lot of smart guys in here. Everybody's finding a different way to skin the cat.
Right.
But for me, I wanted the pocket knife that a pocket knife for me from the get-go is a compromise. I'd rather have a fixed blade.
Right.
But who wants to be the dork walking around with this fixed blade knife in his dress pants or in his sales job? Or you can't walk around with an 8-inch, 10-inch blade hanging off. You just look like, it's the reverse. It's the opposite of the pocket protector. Right?
Exactly. And there's some jurisdictions where you can't legally do it.
Right. So the pocket knife is like the ultimate in practicality because you can carry it. It generally doesn't wig people out unless you're up in Frisco or Boston or New York, in Manhattan. But you can still get away with it in most of those places. So, I really, when I pull out of my pocket, I want to really pull out the knife that I wish I had on my belt.
Exactly. And to dovetail with what you're talking about, this knife my pocket knife that I'm carrying right now, as big as it is, and it's probably one of the bigger folders that I would personally carry, even with jeans or real casual clothing. I can carry this with a business suit. It's pushing the envelope a little bit because it sags a little bit more than something else, but I do. And what your point is right on mark. Is definitely right on mark. So you have a number of materials that you're using. You have a number of materials that you're using in the handle. Pretty much whatever you're thinking will incorporate well with your designs, correct? About how many folks do you have working with you? You mentioned that you
about 20.
About 20? Okay, good. And you're out of Medford, Oregon?
Nope, we're out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, okay.
My last name's Medford.
Okay, well, I don't know why I was probably just typical, brain fog. So
word association.
Yeah, exactly. We'll talk a little bit later. Quick question, because you got some people that I think you'd like to talk to here in just a moment. What's your favorite adult beverage, if you have one? Well, anything you have is an adult beverage. So, what's your favorite adult beverage?
Oh, you mean like whiskey?
Whatever.
Yeah, Johnny Walker Blue Label.
Johnny Walker Blue Label.
Yeah.
You like a beer? I don't have one on me right now, but
no. I'll tell you, I tried out a beer that was a recipe of George Washington that had molasses in it. Last time I was back east. I don't know, maybe it's just my romantic patriot heart, but probably be down with that. I'm not really a beer drinker.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Okay.
like me a little whiskey and water.
Yeah, yeah, kind of like at the end of the day or something. Yeah. What about cigars? You do cigars or pipe?
Nope.
Nope, never have?
I used to, not so much anymore.
Okay. Well, if I visit, we may start you up on that habit.
Cough, I cough the next day, but you know,
Yeah.
I usually have some choice whiskey in my office.
Right? Yeah, kind of wash away the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, good deal. Other than that, talk to you soon. It was an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
It was a pleasure to meet you too, even though you're the strong, silent guy over in the corner. I think he was eating some of your plate.
Shane, did he eat all my fruit?
I think he ate some of your
Damn
fruit.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, listen, brother, you have a safe trip home, okay?
Thanks, you too.
Okay. Shane, you too, brother.